Glow. That cross you won 2 years ago. Now, once again, you see the shrapnel fly and hear the guns, the daily louder groan, as in July 2 years ago. May you endure to lead the lost advance, and with your men pursue the flying foes, as once in France 2 years ago.
I like to think of you as brown and tall, as strong and living as you used to be, in khaki tunic, sun brown belt and all, and standing there and laughing down at me. Because they tell me, dear, that you are dead. Because I can no longer see your face, you have not died, it is not true. Instead, you seek adventure in some other place. You are round about me, I believe. I hear you laughing as you used to do, loving all the things I think of you. And knowing you are happy, should I grieve? You follow and are watchful where I go. How should you leave me, having loved me so? We walked along the towpath in line, beside the sluggish moving slow canal. It seemed impossible that you should die. I think of you as sane, and always shall. We thought of many things and spoke of you, and life lay all uncertainly before. And now, I walk alone and think of you, and wonder what new kingdoms you explore, over the railway line, across the grass, whilst up above, golden wings are spread, flying, ever flying overhead. But still, I see your khaki figure pass. And when I leave the meadow,
French soldier writing to Le Matin says the other day a lark sang above the trenches. Its spring song, which to them was a song of joy and hope. February 1915. All day the guns had worked their hellish will, and all night long with sobbing breath men gasped their lives away, or shivered restless on the ice-cold clay, till morn broke pale and chill with sudden song. Above the sterile furrows war had ploughed with deep trenched seams, wherein this year such bitter seed is sown, wherein this year no fruitful grain is strown. A lark poured from the cloud its throbbing dreams. It sang, and pain and death were passing shows so glad and strong. Life soared triumphant, though a myriad men were swept like leaves beyond the living stem. That wounded hope arose to greet that song.
We planned to shake the world together, you and I, being young, very wise. Now in the light of the green-shaded lamp, almost I see your eyes light with the old grey laughter. You and I dreamed greatly of an empire in those days, setting our feet on laborious ways, and all you asked of fame was crossed swords in the army list, my dear, against your name. We planned a great empire together, you and I, bound only by the sea. Now, in the quiet of a chill winter's night, your voice comes hushed to me, full of forgotten memories. You and I dreamed great dreams of a future in those days, setting our feet on undiscovered ways, and all I asked of fame was a scarlet cross on my breast, my dear, and crossed swords by your name. We shall never shake the world together, you and I, for you gave your life away, and I think my heart was broken by the war, since on that summer day you took the road we never spoke of. You and I dreamed greatly of an empire in those days, but you set your feet on the western ways and had no need of fame. Scarlet cross on my breast, my dear, and a torn cross with your name.
Across the blinded lowlands, the beating rain blows chill.
The trenched earth turns to water.
The shell holes ooze and fill.
A tragic land, where nothing that's sane or sweet survives.
Oh,
hungry swamps of Flanders, that swallow up men's lives.
Oh, numbing swamps of Flanders, that cannot endure the grim, enduring courage that holds each mud-foul trench.
that struggles swiftly forward to meet the shattering guns.
Oh, bitter swamps of Flanders, that rob us of our sons.
And in that sheltered homeland that lies such worlds away, what shrieking hearts are braving that suffocating clay?
And when on roof and window the rain beats, then, oh
deathless swamps of Flanders, our hearts are with our men.
In the glorious sunshine of June 1914, there was no thought of war, no international crisis, and no hint that the crowned heads of Europe were poised to topple one after another. The assassination of the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire by a Serb-sponsored terrorist on the 28th of June was neither predictable nor inevitable. Yet within weeks, millions of men were on the march. And on the 4th of August, Britain declared war on Germany.
Sing a song of wartime, soldiers marching by, crowds of people standing, waving them goodbye. When the crowds are over, home we go to tea, bread and margarine to eat, war economy.
Mommy does the housework, can't get any maid. Gone to make munitions, cause they're better paid.
Nurses always busy, never time to play, sewing shirts for soldiers, kneeling
and I work in the mill. I were a ring spinner, and we worked 6 days a week, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 at night. He was a lovely man, really good. We were very happily married, very, very happy because we were very much in love. He thought the world of me and I thought the world of him. And at times at night, when you were at home, oh, I had lovely hair in them days. And he'd do my hair up for me in all kinds of styles. And then war started. He booked us seats at the palace, and when we got there, everything was lovely. Vesta Tilly was on stage. Oh, she was beautifully dressed in silver or gold. What we didn't know was there were also army officers there and tables set out for recruiting.
On Sunday I walk out with a soldier. On Monday I'm taken by a tar. On Tuesday I'm out with a bonny boy scout. On Wednesday a hussar. On Thursday I walk out with Scotty. On Friday the captain of the crew. But on Saturday I'm willing, if you'll only take the shilling, to make a man of every one of you.
And then she came off stage and walked around the audience, up and down, and then the young men started to get up and follow her. I don't quite know what happened, but she put her hand on my husband's shoulder. He was on the end seat, and as the young men followed her, he got up and followed too. When we got home that night, I was terribly upset. I told him I didn't want him to be a soldier. I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want him to go at all. But he said, we have to go. There has to be men to go.
Who's for the trench? Are you, my laddie?
And who's for the French? You, my laddie?
Who's fretting to begin?
Who's going out to win?
Who wants to save his skin? Do you, my laddie? Who's for the khaki suit? Are you, my laddie? Who longs to charge and shoot? Do you, my laddie?
Who's keen on getting fit?
Who means to show his grit?
And who would rather wait a bit? Would you, my laddie?
Who'll earn the Empire's thanks?
And who's for the Victor's Cross? Are you, my laddie?
When that procession comes with banners and rolling drums, who will stand and bite his thumbs?
Will you, my laddie?
And so he went overseas. And I never saw him for about 6 months. He sent word that he was coming on leave at Christmas. In the meantime, I'd given up work at the mill as I'd heard there was a better job going at the leatherworks. And it was a lot more money. He came home unexpectedly in January. It were a Monday morning and I was almost ready to go to work and set off about 7 o'clock. There was a loud banging on the door and a voice shouted, "Open up, the Jerry's are here!" And my mother said, "Oh, it's Percy, I can tell his voice." And in he came, all mucky and what have you, straight from France. I stayed home all the time he had his leave. Oh, but he was terrible dirty. Filthy, in fact, even lousy. And my mother said, "You're not sleeping in one of my beds like that. There's a tub in the back, you get your things off, you get your khaki shirt and whatnot off, and I'll see what I can do with it." All that day he was tired. He only got 6 days leave and he'd spent 2 of them travelling, so we didn't have very long. But that night he said to me, "Now, Kitty, what would you like for a present? I'm going to buy you a present while I'm home." It was a lovely hat, and I loved it, but it was terrible dear. 19 and 11 pence. Oh, and I'll never forget that hat. It was white felt and it turned up all around. And oh, it did look lovely. It had a big mauve feather that flopped over. Oh, it was gorgeous. Anyway, he went back on a Thursday night. He told a friend he was afraid he'd never come back. Anyway, he went and I went back to work. Later, when I found out I was pregnant, I wrote and told him.
Those gallant boys of the Morning Post, 30th of September 1914. Mrs. Berridge writes, those gallant boys of whom we their mothers, and I venture to suggest the entire British nation is justly proud. If my own son could best serve England by giving his life for her at this juncture, I would not lift a finger to bring him home. If any act or word of mine should interfere with or take from him the grandest gesture, I should never be able to look him in the face again.
Poor woman, weeping as they pass, young brave recruits, the nation's pride. You mourn some gallant boy, alas, like mine, who lately fought and died.
Kind stranger, not for a soldier's son, of shame, not grief does my heart break. 3 stalwarts have I, not one does risk his life for England's sake.
One said to me, seek love, for he is joy, called by another name. A second said,
Seek love, for he is power, which is called fame.
Last, said a third, seek love, his name is peace. I called him thrice, and the answer came, love now is christened sacrifice.
Train never start.
God, make the train start!
She cannot bear it, holding on so long. And he no more tries to laugh at her, he is going. She holds both his hands now that she has touch of him and sight of him. And then he will be gone, he will be gone.
They are so young.
She stands beneath the window of his carriage, and he stands in the window. They hold each other's hands across the window ledge.
And they look, and they look, and they know that they may never look again.
The great clock at the station, how strange it is. Terrible that the minutes go. Terrible that the minutes never go.
They had walked the platform for so long, up and down the platform in the rainy morning. Up and down.
The guard came by, calling, take your places, take your places.
She stands beneath the window of his carriage, and he stands in the window.
God, make the train start!
Before they can bear it, make the train start.
God, make the train start!
The 3 children there in black with the old nurse, standing together and looking up at their father in the carriage window.
They are so forlorn and silent.
But the little girl will not cry. Her chin trembles, and she throws back her head with its stiff little braids, and will not cry.
Her father leans down out of the ledge of the window and kisses her, and kisses her. She must be like her mother, and it must be the mother who is dead.
The nurse lifts the smallest boy, and his father kisses him, leaning out of the carriage window.
The big boy stands very straight and looks at his father and looks, and never takes his eyes from him, and knows that he may never look again.
Will the train never start? God, make the train start!
His father reaches his hand out of the window and grips the boy's hand and does not speak at all.
Will the train never start?
He lets go of the boy's hand.
Will the train never start?
He takes the boy's chin in his hand, leaning out through the carriage window, and lifts his face that is so young to his. They look and know that they may never look again.
Will the train never start?
God, make the train start!
one day, I was with my boyfriend in the yeomanry he was. And my auntie and my auntie's German friend. She married a German, you know, like Queen Victoria. Anyway, this day, my auntie said to me, "There's talk of war! Do you think there'll be a war?" And the German friend said, "Oh yes, yes, we will capture your country and you will all be Germans." Well, whew, when the war started, Auntie had to register with police because she'd married a German. When police said, "Why have you married a German?" she said, "Well..." Anyway, when war started, I joined the Women's Emergency Corps.
In a factory before, but the war, it made you think. Well, I thought, my brothers and my friends are in France. So my friend and I thought to ourselves, let's do something. So we wrote to London for war work, and we were directed to the munitions factory in Perivale, London. We had to have health examinations because you had to be very physically fit, perfect eyes and strong. We had to supply 4 references, be British born of British parents. We worked 10-hour days, that's 8 in the morning till 1:45, no break. Then back again till 6 o'clock, no break. Well, us single girls found it very hard to eat as well as work because by the time we finished, the shops were closed. I remember going into a shop after not having milk for 7 days, and the man said, "If you can produce a baby, you can have the milk." That was it. I went into the butcher's for some meat because we were just beginning to be rationed. And I said, "That looks like cat." He said, "It is." Well, I couldn't face that.
I went part-time up to this school in Baker Street. I could go in the evenings, but you had to give whatever time you could. I was a private, while those who could give all their time became officers. It must have been with permission from the War Office or someone, but the Grenadier Guards were paid to give us drill. Form 4s, you know, real square bashing. And he said, "And about 10. And then he'd wait a minute or two and us in double skirts. And then when he'd say 10, he'd say, "Do you know what you look like? A lot of jelly dogs." Well, it was funny really. He did put us through it though. I did for about a month, I suppose. Well, he taught us drill because we had to have discipline. He was right, can't do nothing without discipline.
It was a perfect factory to work in. Everybody seemed unaware of the powder around them, unaware of the danger. Every now and then I'd hear, "Oh, so-and-so's gone, perhaps her eye was out." But there wasn't any big explosions during the 3 years I was there. We worked at making these little pellets, very innocent-looking pellets. But if there had been one bit of grit in those pellets, it would have been goodbye.
Then we had first aid, home nursing, signalling, semaphore, and Morse. We had to be proficient in whatever they required of us to do. Can't say I can't, no such word as can't. So one day, on this march up to the mansion house, well, they were all laughing and giggling at us, weren't they, and saying, "Woman soldiers! Oh, never thought of that, woman soldiers!" Well, for one thing, they sneered at us, right through our window. Anyway, I didn't support them women in those days. I thought, who wants to vote anyway? I was too young to think about it. They were chaining themselves up, that kind of thing. But none of them joined the Women's Emergency Corps, well, I'll tell you that. I didn't meet anyone who'd been a suffragette.
We had to do a fortnight on and a fortnight off. It was terribly hard and terribly monotonous. But we had a purpose. and every girl worked and worked. I didn't hear one grumble, and hardly ever heard of anyone staying at home because she had a man on her mind. We all had. I worked with sailors' wives from 3 ships, the Aboukir, the Cressy, and the Hogue. On the 22nd of September 1914, it was pitiful to see them. So we had to cheer ourselves up the best way we could. So we sang, and it was so beautiful to listen to.
There's the girl who clips your ticket for the train.
There's the girl who speeds the lift from floor to floor. And there's the girl who does some milk round in the rain.
And the girl that calls for orders at your door.
Strong, sensible and fit, they're out to show their grit and tackle jobs with energy and knack. No longer caged and penned up, they're gonna keep their end up.
Till the cocky soldier boys come marching back.
There's the motor girl who drives the heavy van. Beep, beep. There's the butcher girl that brings your joint of meat.
There's the girl who cries all those blues like a man.
And the girl who whistles taxis up the street.
Beneath each uniform beat a heart that's soft and warm. But of canny mother wits, they show no lack.
But a solemn statement this is. They've no time for love and kisses.
Till the cocky soldier boys come marching back.
When I found out I was pregnant, I went to see them at the leatherworks, and they said they'd find me some light work. So I had a very nice job and worked there till I was 7 months pregnant. I'd gone to bed on the Friday night as usual. The only thing I could keep in my stomach was carrots. So I had about 2 pounds of carrots every day. They were very cheap. They were the only thing I could eat. I was also very thin at the time. Anyway, I heard the postman come and I knew it'd be a letter for me. So I ran down the stairs in my nightdress, opened the door, snatched the letter from him, and ran indoors again. It was a letter from his sergeant. It just said, "Dear Mrs. Morton, I am very sorry to tell you of the death of your husband.
Jack's out in France now. Came home on leave over Christmas. He looked really well and very smart in his uniform. And if he were frightened about going to war, he never showed it. The regiment left in January, and since then, all his letters, with the bits that might tell us where he is, have been crossed out. When he got home, Ma showed me his last letters that he sent the week before. We're going up the front tomorrow. Wish me luck and say a prayer. Right there and then, me and Ma did both. And then I had a horrible thought. Oh, Ma, what if he's dead already? Turned to look at me, Ma, and I could see she'd been crying even more than me that day. I know, she said. I know that. My thoughts can never be that you are dead. You, who loved so lightly in this place. The deep and dear eyebrows that you just scornful. I hear the flat voices and hear their pitiful platitudes of pain. I laugh. I laugh. You will come again. This heart would never beat if you were dead. The world's a drowsy, twilight hushfulness. There's purple lilac in your little room. And somewhere, out beyond the evening gloom, young boys are culling summer watercress. With these familiar things, there can be no dread. Being so very sure, you are not dead.
1 minute we was laughing, me and Ted. The next he lay beside me grinning dead. There's nothing to report, the paper said.
I had an interesting experience in Boulogne when I stood with the others on the quayside and watched as they brought Lord Roberts' little coffin down to be put on the ship to go back to England. He died at the age of 82 while visiting the Indian troops at the front. It was a wonderful sight and a most moving one. A little coffin because he was very short, of course. He died right at the front, you know, just where he would have wished to have died. And he was carried by 4 Tommies, straight from the battlefront, covered in mud, putty-stained, muddy boots, hair anyhow. They were carrying their cats as they brought his little coffin down to the quayside and onto the boat. And the band played the last post. And then the Dead Marching Sword. It was a very moving occasion. I shall never forget it.
Crippled for life at 17, his great eyes seemed to question why. With both legs smashed, he might have been better in that grim trench to die than dragged to mangers out helplessly.
The child, so wasted and so white, he told a lie to get his way, to march a man with men and fight, while other boys are still at play. A gallant lie, your heart will say.
So broke with pain, he shrinks in dread to see the dresser drawing near, and winds the cloth about his head, that none may hear his heart-sick fear, his strange and strangling sobs you hear.
And when the dreaded moment's there, he'll face us a soldier yet, his bared wounds showing in an unmoving air, the telltale lashes still wet, smoking his woodbine cigarette.
You gave your life, boy.
And you gave a limb.
But he who gave his precious wits, so what reward for him?
One has his glory.
One has found his rest.
But what of this poor babbler here with chin sunk on his breast?
Flotsam of battle, brain bemused and dim.
O God, for such a sacrifice, say what reward for him?
He was just a boy, as I could see, as he sat there in the tent close by me. And I held the lamp with its flickering light and felt the hot tears blur my sight. As the doctor took the blood-stained bands from both his brave, shell-shattered hands, his boy hands. I was making tea in the tent where they, the wounded, came in their agony. And the boy turned where his wounds were dressed, picked up his head like a child at the breast, turned and held his tired face up, for he could not hold the spoon or the cup. So I fed him. Each son of man is a son divine, not just to the mother who calls him mine, as he stretches out his stricken hands, wounded to death for the motherland.
I know a simple soldier boy who slept throughout the lunch and dark and bristled early with the lark. In winter's trenches, proud and glum, with trump and lice and lack of rum, he put a bullet through his brave. No one spoke of him again. You smug-faced crowds with kindly eye, who cheer as soldier lads march by, sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go.
Jack fell as he did wish, the woman said, as she folded up the letter that she read. The Colonel writes so nicely, and something broke in the quiet voice that quavered to a choke. She half looked up.
We mothers are so proud of our dead soldiers. And her head was bowed.
Quietly the brother officer went out. He'd fed the poor old dear some gallant lies that she would nourish all her days, no doubt.
And while he coughed and mumbled, her weak eyes shone with gentle triumph, brimmed with joy, because he'd been so brave, her glorious boy.
He thought how Jack, cold-footed, useless swine, had panicked down the trench that night the mine went up on Wicket Corner. How he tried to get sent home, and how at last he died, blown to small bits, and no one seemed to care.
Except that lonely woman with the white hair.
November 1915. Today, as I rode by, I saw the brown leaves dropping from their tree in a still afternoon. No wind whirled them whistling to the sky, but thickly, silently they fell, like snowflakes wiping out the loom. And wandered slowly thence, for thinking of a gallant multitude, which now all withering lay, slain not by age of pestilence, but in their beauty strewed, like snowflakes falling on Flemish clay.
They went with a song to battle.
They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow.
They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted.
They fell with their faces to the foe.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old.
Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn.
But the going down of the sun and in the morning,
We will remember them. Remember them.